All right, we should be back. And again, for those who are joining right now, if you are on, let me know that you can hear us. Let me know that you can hear us. Throw something into the chat. I'm watching the chat right now. Let me see. I'm watching the chat right now, so y'all make sure y'all throw something into the chat for me to let me know that you can hear me. I see, yep, I see you. I see you joining. I see, yep, I see you. I see Mother Rob on. All right, so y'all jump on, y'all share. Let other people know that we are on again. We had some technical challenges in the first stream, so we had to start over again, but that's how it goes sometimes, and it's all good, right? We're not afraid of challenges. So again, this is Community Conversations. I'm John E. Gurton Jr., aka Pastor G. Community Conversations is a program that we do each and every week where we talk to community urban servant leaders, those who are doing great work in the urban communities, mainly so that we can let everybody else know where some of our leaders are working in our community. A lot of our leaders are doing great work, and a lot of people just simply don't know what they are up to, or they're not aware. And oftentimes, just because you don't see urban servant leaders doesn't mean that they're not there, and it certainly doesn't mean that they're not working. So today, as I said earlier, we're going to just do a rewind real quick. Today we got Ebony Chappell on today. She's waiting in the green room right now with her cat. I guess that's a cat. I don't know what the cat's name is, but she got the cat in the house. So we got two guests getting ready to come up. All right, Ebony Chappell. We also got Alonzo Miles coming up at 11 o'clock, and then Lena Reed is going to be coming up. And so right now, I just want to introduce everyone to one of our community servants. And she just dropped her camera, so she's gonna have to lift that back up. She gotta lift that back up. Yep, lift it back up. There we go. Here it is. Ebony Chappell in the house. Here she is. Y'all give her a hand. Hey, Ebony,
Hello.
how you doing?
Hi.
There we go. Now we can hear you. That's what's up.
This is my baby. This is Opal Marie Chappell. And
are you serious?
I am serious. Yes. I'm very serious. So she is my joy. This is my companion, and she is up and about right now. So I just let her hop in videos when she wants to.
I ain't mad. I'm not mad. I might have a few questions. I may have a few questions for her a little later on in the broadcast. Wonderful. Well, while we're preparing to jump into this interview, I do want to make sure that everyone knows that if you're watching Community Conversation right now, please share this broadcast with somebody that you know. Go ahead and share. Jump into your messages and share. You can tag people. You can start a watch party or whatever. I think you can't start a watch party till it's over, I think. But either way, go ahead and share this broadcast, because it's going to be an awesome interview, because this is an awesome person. So let's jump on in, because first of all, and you know I'm about to go here.
Yeah.
Ebony, you know I'm about to go here. First things first, this is not my first time meeting you.
No.
The first time we met, describe the first time we met.
So the first time we met, actually, I was a student at Ball State University, and Dr. Maria, who was one of the professors in the telecommunications department at Ball State, came to us Black students who were basically like her children. She was like our campus mom. Like, she took care of us, and she let us know we have a new Black man that is coming to Muncie to teach y'all, and this is the class he's going to be teaching. If you are not signed up for it, make sure you're signed up, and just kind of go from there. So when I met you, you were my professor, and we were in a digital media course, and yeah, so that was how we first got connected.
Basically, one of the most exciting things is, when you are a college instructor, one of the most, important things that a college instructor could ever have is to have a student graduate and move on and make you proud. I don't know how else to say it. Okay. And I think we had a sales class or marketing class or something like that. that you were
Yep.
in, and I remember. I'm just being honest, and hopefully what I'm saying right now will resonate with either some of our current students or those who are heading into college, and you kind of want to know how to succeed on campus. If this is making sense, how to succeed as you matriculate. One of the things that I had to do quite often was I had to think about group assignments. And
Yes.
who to put in groups, and how to structure the groups. And here's the deal: group assignments really flush out leadership skills. Group assignments really flush out those who are serious from those who are not serious. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, and so one of the things that I noticed real quick was, Ebony, you had this really unassuming way, I'm being real, unassuming way of leading from where you were. And I don't know if it was strategic or not. Somebody's saying, so proud of you, baby girl, Christopher Cunningham.
Oh, yeah, that's my dad.
Hey, Dad. Hey, Dad. Dad is on. I don't know if it was strategic on your part or not, but because even it was elusive to me as an instructor, because it wasn't that you came, and you got some people that they'll come into the room and you know immediately. I'm the one, I want to be up front. I'm the one, I want to lead. I'm the one. That wasn't your strategy or your tactic or your mentality or your ethos. It took a minute to try to figure out, okay, yeah, she's actually a leader. Where did that, how did you approach that piece?
I really think that it just kind of developed over time, like growing up. So I am the oldest of my mother's children, and we're all stair steps. So for the most part, like, I'm not that much older than them. But I still had to find a way to like look out for my siblings without like beating them over the head with too much information. Now, if any of them hop on here, they're probably gonna feel differently about my style of leadership because of how like fiercely I tried to protect them and different stuff like that. So I think it's just something that develops naturally, and then some things that were just instilled in me growing up, like the ways to get stuff accomplished. Like, you don't need to be a bull in a china cabinet, to get what it is that you want to get done. Like, sometimes, leading with compassion and empathy and understanding. I just saw that be successful with the people that were around me. So I'm sure I was influenced by them, like people I grew up with in church. My grandmother was very involved in the community. Just, I guess, watching different people and picking up on and I've always been a sponge also. Like, that's just who I've been my whole life. So I think watching the ways that people succeeded and the ways that they failed, I kind of like gather bits and pieces here. Like, this doesn't work, this might work, and just kind of take it from there. And then also, by the time you met me in college, I was probably a little timid with how I did stuff because I had been, I went through a communications class, and one of the activities that we did, to this day, I still don't understand why we did this activity, but you were supposed to like make judgments on your classmates without really knowing them. So it's like, who do you think, who do you think is like most likely to be like rude, or who do you think is most likely to be like a great, like different like characteristics,
right?
And people assumed that I would be a certain way just based off of nothing. Like, they didn't even know me,
right? But that was part of the assignment, sounds like. That's weird.
Yeah, it was. But I was just like, wow, that's like really unfair. So like, I'm getting labeled these things. And it also didn't help none that we watched The Apprentice, the season with Omarosa on it, and people tried to come for her. And I was like, you may not like her, but this is why what she did was smart. So then it's like, oh my God, like, are you Omarosa? And I'm like, no, I'm totally not. I'm not her at all. But yeah, so all of that, then I was like, okay, how can I like definitely let people know like I am not this angry, like
Right.
loud, crazy person.
That's crazy.
So all of that, I guess, kind of played into it to help me develop like my own style for how I approach things as a leader.
Okay, so now, I mean, even as you say that, even as you say that, I know that there's a very kind of as you said, there's this side of you that sort of assesses kind of where you are. You kind of, like I said, unassumingly kind of walking. I mean, your dad said you've always been a leader, and again, even having said that, in the environment and the climate and the culture that we live in, people are looking for leaders, especially they're looking for young leaders. I mean, that's the way I would argue I was doing in my class. I'm trying to figure out where are the leaders in my class. And so one of the things that I notice about you is that even though you were sort of an unassuming leader, that just because you weren't saying anything didn't mean you weren't thinking anything. As a matter of fact, if someone were to ask you, not only would you share what you were thinking, that there was a lot of thought that was going into what you were thinking, right? So it wasn't wide thinking, it was deep thinking. It's just that you weren't offering it until either it was asked for or until the situation demanded it. Am I missing that, or is that part of kind of how you were operating as well?
That's definitely part of it. So also being, you know, a spiritual person, being raised in the church, being a follower of Christ, you know, I try to look for the divine wisdom and guidance in how I move, because just because I think something or feel something, it may not be the opportune time to say it. Because, you know, the Holy Spirit jumps in and it's like, okay, maybe you pause for a minute, gain some more information about what's going on, and then you share. Or share at a time when people are going to be receptive to what's going on. So that's one of my consistent prayers, and it's been a consistent prayer since I was a kid, pretty much. It's like, give me the wisdom to know how to use, you know, the gifts that I have. Because we see it all the time. People can be skilled and talented and have all of these great things that they offer, but if they don't have the wisdom to know how to apply it, then it can lead to, you know, a really messed up situation. So I always try to seek that wisdom and that guidance, and to be in alignment with where it is that I'm supposed to be going. So that comes into every aspect of my life, whether it's professional, community stuff, etc. I try to apply that in everything.
Now again, you're you know, you're not as young as you used to be, right? You're not the college student any longer. And I have to say it this way because now we have a group of young ladies. I can't think of their names right now, but it's they just met with the mayor. We're trying to get some of them on the community conversation. What's it called?
Black Women in Charge,
yeah.
I think.
Now I know one of them is 19 years old, right? And so what would you know, in watching what's going on right now, what would you say to them to help? And again, you probably thinking, well, we're the same age, but I mean, in the same generation, but honestly, think about it. When you were in college, they were 9 years old.
Yeah, that's crazy to think about.
Okay, so a lot has changed.
Yeah, a lot has changed.
So what would you say to them in terms of how they operate or how they move or how they interpret, or how, even in the context of what you just said in terms of accessing the Holy Spirit in order to know what to say when? Because you're not normal, you're not average. You're on the radio. You've got I'm going to talk about multitasking here in a minute, but you're on the radio. You got a job. You got a cat. You got parents. You got all these things going on that you got to juggle. And so as they mature, go back into college, do what they got to do to deal with that, and then come out and try to also build a life, what would you say to them? How would you instruct them?
Yeah, so thank you for asking me that question. Because I've thought about that a lot. Like, what are some of the things that um, would have helped me when I was that age? You know, what things did help me that people shared with me. And I have some young people in my life that I've built personal connections with that are in that age range. And I just think about some of the things we talk about.
Mm-hmm.
One, I think the biggest thing that I can advise them on is to develop a spiritual practice.
All right.
Develop a spiritual practice.
Somebody,
So,
just a second. Somebody type that into the chat box. Develop a spiritual, what is it? A
practice.
Practice. Somebody type
Yes.
that into the chat box. Go ahead.
Yeah. Develop a spiritual practice. So whatever it is, like I said, I'm a follower of Christ. Other people, you know, have whatever it is that they follow that resonates with them. Whatever that is, make sure that it is an active and daily part of your life, because it is one of the major keys to success and to self-actualization. So definitely that. I also would suggest making sure that your circle, the people that you surround yourself with, is not an echo chamber. Like everybody can't be your biggest fan, and everybody can't be just very one note in terms of like what they bring to your life. And they have to come from different arenas. Like, I have people that I communicate with. I may not talk to them every day, but it's somebody that I know I can reach out to and have a very meaningful conversation with. And there's people that are, you know, 60 plus that are in that place in my life. White people, Black people, you know, all different facets and backgrounds. And for me, I'm a big relationship person. So I go into situations being open to building a relationship with people that's meaningful. Now, it's nothing that you can force or anything like that. Sometimes things just naturally happen, but I'm always open to that. Like, if I walk into a room and it's happened before, like I walked into a room for a meeting, and me and the person, we get through the transactional stuff, and then we're just like, wow, like I really feel like connected with you. Like, can we still get to know each other? And then those relationships have been very rich to me in my life. So the importance of relationships and building a network around you that's not an echo chamber, people that are going to challenge your thought processes, challenge your choices, but not in a way to be detrimental to you, but in a way to help you, like,
constructive and not destructive. Constructive, not destructive.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So I think that's very, very important. And then lastly, I would say, like, know what your why is. A lot of people, this is not a new concept, it's out there, but what is your why? Like, what is the thing that's guiding you and pushing you to do this thing? Because when you're young, you are very susceptible to the thoughts and the expectations of others that are around you. And sometimes people want the best for you, your family members, your teachers, I mean, whoever. A lot of times people want the best for you, but in them wanting the best, they may project things onto you that they want to see you accomplish that don't have anything to do with you personally. You're not passionate about it. You don't care about it. But you may do it just to appease them, and that's never going to make you happy. You have to go after what really feeds your spirit. So those are the tips I would give them. And then one last thing, because I suffered with this for a long time, not even suffered with, but it was a challenge of mine for a long time. Perfectionism. It is a trap. It's a lie, and it's nothing that you should focus too much of your energy on. Like, you're going to make mistakes, things are going to happen, and failure is one of life's greatest lessons. So be open to that, be open to correction, be open to developing further from that, and don't feel like everything has to be perfect every single time. That's just unrealistic.
Wow. All right, so and all of these have been added to the chat, and again, I really hope that some of this has been shared, is being shared with some others. Whether that is, it doesn't have to be your daughter or whatever. It could be your granddaughter. It could be your niece or something like that. Because again, and I've said this. Some of y'all are just getting on, so y'all late. But I've shared this earlier that Ebony Chappell was one of my students at Ball State in at least one of my classes. I don't know, maybe two, I don't know. But she was one of my students, and every professor wants a student that goes off and does great things. And again, Ebony, I don't consider you as sort of a normal, just kind of graduate and just kind of go into, a mode of, I'm gonna just do what I'm doing. You seem to continue to strive and continue to climb and continue to do what it takes to take your life and your impact to the next level. And every professor wants to see that in their student. And so to me, the three things that you just gave, and y'all, again, she gave us one for free, and I don't see that in the chat box yet. So y'all make sure that perfectionist piece ends up in the chat box, and share this with somebody, because again, you're not talking to someone who's just letting life happen. You're not talking to someone who's just checking the temperature. She's setting the temperature, right, for her life. She is the thermostat. She's controlling the atmosphere of her life. And some people don't do that. They just a thermometer. They walk through life and they absorb whatever's going on around them, and that's where they live. But that is not who Ebony is. Ebony is a thermostat, not a thermometer. She sets the atmosphere where she is. Now, I'm gonna add one other thing, and y'all know I ain't supposed to do a lot of talking, but can I add one other thing?
Of course.
I'm gonna throw something at the very top of the list, and that is to know and be comfortable with oneself.
Ooh,
okay,
yes.
To know and be comfortable with oneself, right? Ain't nobody gonna love you no better than you gonna love yourself. Yes. And while you trying to change everybody else, the one person you gotta work on changing is the person you with the most, and that's you, right? Mm-hmm. You with you 100% of the time. Yes. And so if you don't know yourself, or if you are avoiding who you are because you don't like what you see, then you're not going to be able to convince, or the ways that you try to convince other people to like you are artificial, meaning that it's not going to take long for that joker that joker to start falling apart, right? Because you're acting, right? You're on a stage, you're in a play, right? And every play ends. So the first thing I gotta say is, and I'm gonna throw that at the top, you gotta know and be comfortable with yourself. And I'm not expecting that if you're 19 years old or you're 18 that you're aware of all of that. Immaturity does have its place, but that's number one. If you don't know you, or if you don't like what you know about you, that's where we need to start, and that's where the spirituality piece can kick in, because it can give you an excuse to let go of all of that foolishness.
Yes, absolutely.
You and I talking about Christ. Christ gives you an excuse, right? He said you can let go of all of that stuff. He said, if don't nobody love you, let me tell you I love you. And that love is the kind of love. Okay, all right. The altar call is out there.
But it's serious though, that knowing and accepting and loving yourself is so, so important. That's another, journey. I think that is one of our lifelong journeys, like that never ends. And taking some time to work on that has been so beneficial to my life. And you're right, like sometimes you're not gonna like what you see, but does that mean you quit? No, because you never know what could be waiting on you on the other side of those dark nights, those days that are extremely challenging.
You've had some dark nights in the past since you left Ball State.
Oh my God.
I'm not asking you to get specific, but let's just be real.
So many.
Okay. So, and I'm not gonna, I gotta keep moving. And somebody's just loving what you're saying right now. And I appreciate the fact that they're loving it, because that means that this interview is going to be powerful for somebody. Now, part of knowing yourself is knowing when you got too much going on.
Yes.
And when you got room to add more to your plate, because it's an investment into where you're going. Yeah. How do you manage your professional life, your social life, your community life, and all of your other entrepreneurial endeavors? How do you manage all that?
So thank you for that question. This is a big piece of where I said like failure can be a lesson. I had to mess up a few times where, I've been there where I had way, 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 way too much on my plate,
Mm-hmm.
and I was not able to perform at the capacity that I know I can perform at. And
Mm-hmm.
for me, and this is a little bit of that perfectionism piece, but for me, that was a problem. I was just like, no, I know what type of worker I am. I know what I can bring to the table. And if I'm not able to do that because I've overwhelmed myself,
Mm-hmm.
then I need to interrogate where that comes from. So sometimes there were moments in my life where I was overwhelming myself because I didn't want to deal with me. I didn't want to deal with real life. Like, one of my things is like heartbreak. Like anytime I got my heart broken, my fix was to go and add a bunch of stuff to my plate. Like I'm just gonna get real busy and then I'm gonna forget
Mm-hmm.
about the fact that like my heart is broken. And it's like, no, you're just gonna be heartbroken and tired at the same time. So now you really did yourself in. So I had to get to the place where I prioritize like the things that were important to me. So like right now I have things that I'm doing and all of them are very important
Mm-hmm.
to me. So I cannot add other things to the plate. So I used to always feel like when an opportunity came my way, I immediately had to jump on it. So now I'm to a place where like I'm comfortable with myself.
Mm-hmm.
I know that God has me and that whatever I'm supposed to have, I'm going to have. Like that's just what it is. So when an opportunity comes my way, if I don't have the capacity for it, I'm very honest and I let people know, hey, I don't have time to do that for you right now. But I also, because being the type of person I am, a lot of people come to me for things. I also try to find a solution. So if I can't do it, that's maybe an opportunity I could share with somebody else. Like I don't have to do everything. Like I don't have to be greedy with every, opportunity. So I
Mm-hmm.
can pass that on to somebody else. So then that gives that person an opportunity to
Right.
grow. Um, so that's one of the biggest things I do with the prioritization. If I don't have time, if I know I can't give it my all, I go ahead and I pass on it. And I also think about going back to like what is your why, like
Mm-hmm.
what's your purpose. I'm still trying to figure out like exactly what my purpose is. I feel
Mm-hmm.
like it's being revealed more and more every day.
Mm-hmm.
The more that I'm like intentional about that. So if an opportunity comes my way and it doesn't align with my purpose, that's another one that I can pass up. Like I don't have to do that. Like if somebody came to me and was like, "Yeah, do you want to do?" I'm just making something up off the top of my head. Do you want to judge an underwater basket weaving competition? Nothing in my life has anything to do with underwater basket weaving. Even
Right.
if they paying me,
Right.
that is one I'm going to say no to.
Right.
And I'll pass it on to my homegirl that loves underwater basket weaving or my homeboy that loves that. Like
Right.
I can do it, but I know a good person for you. So that's how I balance all of that out. I prioritize time for self.
Mm-hmm.
So
You
taking
said
time.
now. Why you say now? Does that mean you didn't always do that? What's up?
No, I didn't always do that because I didn't know it was important.
Uh-huh.
Like I didn't know that that was something that should be prioritized. I mainly saw it as a luxury or something that I had
Mm.
to earn. And now I realize, okay, you can't show up to be 100% at anything if you didn't make sure that like you
You were
were
home.
eating,
Yeah.
you were sleeping, you had time to just chill out and have fun with your friends. Like if I'm not doing those things, have being able to spend time with my family,
Mm-hmm.
if I can't do that, I can't really do nothing else. So that one is a balancing act. I'm still working on it,
Yeah.
but yeah.
I do gotta ask you though, and this is coming from an urban servant leader. Um, when okay, don't nobody shoot at ducks until they fly. You already know where I'm headed. When you are in the public eye, maybe as much as you find yourself in the public eye, when you're in the public eye, again, there are people that won't start shooting until they see you doing something.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
one, and I want to deal with that. But now my next guest is ready. Come on. But my next question is going to be, about, and we're gonna have to close out on this. We're gonna have to come back and talk about this more a little later. And I
I'm
need y'all
down.
to stick and stay close, because we got another young man he's calling me now. He's trying to get in, so I got to get in. But like, okay, I'm coming. But then there's also this sense that when you start flying, people will want to live vicariously through you. In other words, the things that God is calling them to do, God has gifted them to do, God has purposed them to do, they feel like they're incapable of doing it. They see you moving, and in their minds, well, why don't you do what God has called me to do? Why don't you take up my mantle and run with what God has called me to do? And you looking at it like, how do you manage the onslaught of those who shoot at you once you start moving, who, if you ain't doing nothing, you don't hear not a word from, no peep from them. But as soon as you take on another role, as soon as you own the radio, as soon as you own the television, as soon as you writing articles, as soon as you doing this, here they come. And then when they come, oftentimes they're trying to put on top of you more of their stuff, and you already got your own. Good morning, brother Brandon Randall. All right, go ahead. I'm sorry. Brandon in the house.
Yes. Hey, Brandon. So the one, as far as like the shooting at, a flying duck and how to deal with things that happen like that. I've experienced some of those things in my life. And for me, I try to remember, again, like, who called me to do what it is that I'm doing and what my ultimate goal is. So like, I can't even get caught up. Like, I found myself, there was a few years ago, I had an experience and I found myself getting caught up, and then I had to remember, like, this was designed because, like, literally the entire situation was fabricated to draw me in, to get me to behave out of character. And I couldn't have that. I couldn't have that. When I really sat and thought about it, I was just like, no, because like, I have too much to lose. This person that created this, they don't have the things to lose that I have to lose, And it's not so much that I'm like so like tied into everything, like every opportunity has been given me, or like titles or whatever, like I'm holding on for dear life. That's not it. Because like, I know like at any time my life could change, but I'm still gonna be who I am. Right. So that's what I'm talking about. It's more so like my essence,
right?
My essence and my energy could not be bothered with such a thing. So I just had to let it go. I was like, that's none of my business.
Yeah.
Talking about me, they're talking about me, she's talking about me, but like, that's none of my business. And that was a lesson that my mother, taught me a long time ago. What other people believe about you or whatever other people think about you is none of your business. Wow. So I just move on. And this may sound kind of like, I don't know how this will sound, like maybe arrogant or whatever, but like, if somebody is letting me live in their brain rent free, that is on
them.
That is on them. That has nothing to do with me at all, period. I have to continue living my life. So that's one thing that I just try to remember. And then as far as like people wanting to pile on other stuff, again, you have to develop a sense of discernment and know like who is coming into your life to help build you up, and then who is coming into your life to constantly withdraw. Like, this is in all type of relationships. So who's depositing and who is consistently there to withdraw. So there's people that like, I may love them to death. This happens. There's people that I love to death, but I know that like, when I'm near them or when they have access to me, they are setting me up to drain me. So some of them don't even mean anything negative by it. They just want me to be involved in whatever they have going on. And I'm like, you know what? Love you, bless you. I'm not available.
Right.
Sometimes you gotta ignore your phone. You can't answer every text message, every phone call, every email, because like when you have a really clear understanding of what it is that you're supposed to be doing, you know that your energy and the amounts that you put out, you gotta be strategic about that. Yeah. So sometimes I'm just like, today I don't have the energy for that. I love you. I'm gonna respond to you tomorrow or after that, because. And
I truly hate to end this conversation because I could talk to you for hours. And I don't know if you've seen my podcast rants during the week when I come on and I just go off. We need to just.
Listen, I'm gonna have to check them out. You know, I'm a sucker for a podcast, and you are always dropping gems. So I try to tune in as much as I can.
Yeah, so I got some rants coming up. We got to deal with a lot of stuff. We got to deal with a lot of things, and I'm continually doing that. So we got to get you back on.
Yeah, we need to.
The one thing I was thinking though was shoot, it just escaped me because I'm old. It just escaped me because I'm old. And they calling you wide.
Old look good, Pastor G.
Say what?
I said you making the old look good, Pastor G.
I'm trying, y'all. Let me just say this. I'm gonna have you all. I'm gonna take a break real quick, and by break, literally, y'all that's watching right now, I'm only gonna take about. Really maybe a 5-minute break to get my next guest on because he's really chomping at the bit trying to get on. So that's Alonzo Miles. He's going to come on and he's going to talk about Black Lives Matter. He's not really a proponent of Black Lives Matter. He's got some concerns about the Marxist stuff that they got going on. And we need to really have a panel discussion about that. But we're not quite there.
I think it would have been cool maybe and I don't know if Indie Team BLM is around, but maybe they can like hop in the chat or something.
Yeah.
The local chapter to add to that conversation.
Yeah. So if you got access to any of them, go ahead and hit them and tell them, say, hey, jump on, because here's my whole deal is as a community, when we start asking the question, what do we do next? Once we get past the marches and the protests, the only way we get to next is we got to talk. We got to have conversations. We got to have civil conversations. We got to listen to one another and whatnot. And that doesn't mean that we always walk away saying, I agree with you. But we got to still love each other because at the end of the day, I don't care what culture you look at. When you talk about the African-American culture, we are all inextricably tied together. That's why when we see somebody acting crazy, we always say, there we go again. Why we got to be acting like that?
And why we got to be doing? That's literally what we say. That's literally what we say.
Yeah, because we tied to one another. And other folk, they can say whatever they want to say about us because they don't feel that connection, whereas we do. And so we have to be able to walk away from our tables, whether we agree or not, like any family walks away from the table. We walk away and it's like, I can't unson you. I don't like what you just did, but you still my son.
Yeah,
Ain't nothing I can do about that. Right?
Yeah.
So I want to have these conversations. So he's about to come on here in a second. Y'all keep sharing this. Again, I'm only going to go away for a few moments. I'm going to keep the stream rolling. Y'all going to listen to some more music. Sister Ebony Chappell, you making me proud.
Thank you, Pastor G.
I got so much that I want to talk to you about, but we don't have no more time. I'm out of time. It's 11 o'clock.
We'll just have to do it again. So you just let me know whenever and we'll figure it out.
Y'all, look, I wish I could get real close to y'all and say, she just said, you let me know. This girl is moving 150 miles per hour. Okay? Letting her know is like trying to jump on a Ferris wheel while they're moving. Right?
Well, okay. All right.
You got an assistant yet?
No, you and I both know.
You got an assistant yet?
I'm not ignoring too many of your text messages. Like, I'm like, oh, Pastor G texted me. Like, let me see what he's talking about. You and I both know what it is. But yeah, we'll figure it out.
Let's figure it out. All right. I'm going to let her off the hook. Sister Ebony Chappell, thank you. Bye-bye. We'll see you a little later. Love you. Tell your mama I said hello. Tell her I said hello.
I will.
Okay, so yeah, we got somebody on from Indie BLM. I'm thinking that's Indie 10. Denise Blackburn, Abdul, Rahman. Think that's her?
She is with NAACP, but she's tagging somebody from Indie 10 BLM.
Yeah, okay, praise God. That's community talking to one another. Thank y'all for doing that. All right, y'all got to stick and stay close and be real patient. I'm going to go to me real quick. All right, there I am. We're going to take a short break. I'm going to get my next guest in, and we're going to come right back on. God bless y'all, Community Conversations. Hey, go over, if you have not registered for the Urban Servant Leadership Unconference, and Denise, you trying to keep me straight. I see you trying to keep me straight. That's cool. Keep me straight, because Pastor G, I got issues, y'all. I'm an old dude with issues. Nevertheless, if y'all have not pre-registered for the Urban Servant Leadership Unconference, jump on over, and he's still trying to get in. Jump on over to uniteforchange.org. It's right there at the bottom of the screen. Jump on over to uniteforchange.org. Do that right now. Pre-register for the Urban Servant Leadership Unconference. Come on, y'all, get that done, because this year it is virtual. That means we're going to have people on from all over the country, and so that means we got to limit it. We can only have so many people in for the Urban Servant Leadership Unconference. It's August the 15th. Jump on over there. Register now. God bless y'all. I see my man is in. I'm going to ask him to go ahead and turn his phone sideways, because actually I can go ahead and pull him on in. Yeah, I could go ahead and tilt it up so I can see you. Tilt it up. I see him. He's right here. He really right here. He really right here. I could really just do this. And there he is. He in the house. Is your mic on, Brother Alonzo?
My mic is on. I'm listening to you. I can hear everything you're saying.
Yeah. All right. You know what? I'm going to keep it moving. I'm going to keep it right on moving. Let's keep it moving. I'm not even going to go to a break. I'm going to get some music on, though, because I like music. Y'all know some of y'all, I got to reintroduce my Brother Alonzo. Here's the deal.
Yeah.
I have to reintroduce myself to the city of Indianapolis because people don't really know me. They think they do. They think I've been a pastor all my life, and they don't know that I used to be a DJ back in the 90s. Yeah, I used to be a DJ, and so I love music, and so I had to have some music playing. Hey, y'all, this is Brother Alonzo Miles. Brother Alonzo, I haven't really had a chance to really look at everything. I know you got a lot going on. You a busy brother, and you've got your hands in a lot of things. But I think more importantly, you a brother that has done some serious thinking about some things that are going on in our community right now. Am I missing it?
No, you are not missing it. I do think I do serious thinking, and I really dive into how the psyche of the Black person really thinks and how we can help each other become better. So 100%, I do that all the time. This is what I really have a heart for Black people. I have a heart for people in general, and I just want what's best for us. So anything that I'm saying is not I think it's taken the wrong way because of my passion. But a lot of times I do the research that I know people really won't do the research. So I do it, and I try to share the information that I have.
And we appreciate that. I think we need more people who are willing to do, and I'm gonna be honest, this is what I do. And I get in trouble for this all the time. When I go to a place like Walmart, or I go to a park, or I go to a restaurant, oftentimes my wife will tell you that I can go anywhere and just sit and I can just watch. Like people bird watch, I people watch, right? Mm-hmm. And this is something I was gonna say with Ebony, and I'll say it with you, oftentimes you don't have to meet somebody and know them 100%. All you got to do is watch them and look for the fruit that falls from their tree. And it will tell you everything you need to know about that person and about that situation, about that organization. It just takes time where you can watch and say, okay, let me see how that relationship works out. Let me see how that conversation works out. Let me see how this initiative works out. Let me track where that money is going. Let me track, you see what I'm saying? Watch the fruit that falls from people. So when you're watching what's going on in the community, how are you assessing the fruit that's falling from the different things that are happening in our community?
That is a very interesting and intriguing perspective how you did that. The fruit I'm assessing, if it was 3 or 4 years ago, I would think after Obama was president, I thought we was going in the right direction as a community. Mm-hmm. I felt like we could do anything in life, anything in the world. And something happened to where this cancel culture, this social justice warrior, all these other things that happen, it started taking us away from us identifying our true selves and who we are and how to be the greatness into yourself. So I have no idea what happened. I just seen the video. I will shoot it to you or shoot it to Faith, however it does. But I just seen the video where they basically said this was a 30-year plan. And they indoctrinating us and putting things in our mind to basically push Marxism and socialism and communism and all these things that are not of us. Although we are very passionate and forgiving people as a culture, they use that against us because we really want to help everybody. So they utilize our hearts and then push us into the position to like feel like we're helping the world. In reality, the best way to help anybody is like tell them to help themselves, because if you fix yourself, then you can fix the world. You fix yourself, you fix your family, you fix your community, then comes the world. We're trying to fix the world without fixing ourselves first. We're jumping right to the world without ourselves, then our family, then our community, then our nation, then our world. Then it's just like we're fixing the world without understanding who we are as a people. And I think that's hindering and hurting us.
I think that
like I don't know
I think that the perspective that I hear you talking about is the one we use. I use quite frequently when we talk about, when you get on the airplane and they go through that whole little exercise in front of you, and they say in case of cabin pressure loss, this little thing will fall down from the ceiling, right? The little mask, and they tell you that before you administer that mask on even a child next to you, administer it to yourself. In other words, that if you're not good, you ain't gonna be good for nobody else. So the first thing you gotta do is you gotta address your own issues or your own opportunities or your own failures and faults before you jump on and try to do something with someone else. Is that sort of the perspective that you're referring to?
Yes, 100%. When I was younger, my favorite person ever still is Malcolm X. And then I was super pro-black. So I'm like, let's fix the community, all this, super all that. And then I realized like I can't speak on any of these things if I'm not fixing myself. If I'm not accountable for the things I'm doing, because people, the first thing they come to you, and I think debating taught me this, the first thing they ask you is, what are you doing? Right? So if you don't have an answer to that, then I really shouldn't be speaking on what everybody else should be doing. So I think it's a quote that says, be the change you want to see in the world. Yeah. And I think that's what we need to start at. And I think black people right now get offended because I think we just always want to acknowledge that we came from a really bad and hard history, like slavery, Jim Crow, all these things. Like, think about this psychologically and all these things. And I'm like, yes, but how much do we acknowledge the past and not talk about how to be better in the future? Like, we're expecting everybody to do something for us. And at some point, we got to realize, like, you don't have to expect anybody to do anything. If you just start getting it yourself, they'll start respecting you, and then they'll start coming in and trying to be a part of it. At least you know what you're doing. So I think Kanye said a long time ago that why are we not teaching in classes how Magic became a millionaire or billionaire? Why are we not teaching in classes how Jay-Z became? Like, these things matter. Or Ben Carson became the first neurosurgeon. Or, like, we're not speaking life in people. We're not talking to the light in people. We're talking to the shadow side and the darkness. And if you keep speaking to the darkness, then they're going to become what you keep speaking. Like, we say we're mad at white people, we're mad at this, white supremacy, all this, systematic racism, all this. But then we're flipping it and literally doing the same thing that people done to us. That doesn't make us a good person.
So let me ask you this. Let me ask you from this perspective. Why can't we talk about both? Why can't we talk about the past atrocities as well as the historical implications of those narratives that are still alive today, and at the same time speak to the intrinsic value of self-worth and self-work? Is that possible from your perspective?
I think that's 100% what we need to do. We need to integrate our shadow, right? So I think when it comes to who you are as a person, we avoid the darkness sometimes, or we avoid the light, but we're both. You know what I'm saying? Like, at the end of the day, like the cartoons used to have an angel on one shoulder and the devil on the other shoulder. They're both, but you have to be cognizant and conscious enough to like listen to whichever one. So I 100% agree. I'm at the place I'm at because I understand our history. It's not that I'm avoiding it. So I think our history and everything is very important, and I understand what's going on. So we do need to teach these things, but in the same breath, we need to understand that we're dealing with a system or anything that does not care about that. So we need to figure out how do we get it and move forward, or basically how do we utilize the system like everybody else does. The Asians use the system. The Mexicans use the system. The Hispanics use the system. Everybody, Jewish community uses the system. We're the only community who does not utilize the system and then says America is not for us. Well, if we don't ever dive into figure out how to use capitalism or how to use the system and all that, then we'll never have it. If we just say the system's against us, then we'll never consciously go towards the system. So to me, I think knowing your past is important. Knowing your history is important because if you don't, you'll be doomed to repeat it 100%. But I also think knowing it and then figuring out what we're going to do about it is the most important thing. Like, okay, that's our past. We shouldn't expect anybody to do anything for us. Now, how can I call Pastor G? How can I call Faith? How can I call Keith? How can I call P? How can I call Ken Allen? All these other people to say, let's uplift us and uplift our community. And I think that's the next step. And I think maybe I'm articulating it wrong on Facebook. They make me looking at me like, oh, you don't understand, blah, blah, blah. But the reality of it is I totally understand. I'm saying, where do we go from here?
Right.
And that's where my next step is.
Okay, so, and I just put up a second ago a comment, and I'm gonna put it back up, and I invite anybody that has any questions to join us. This is community conversation, y'all. This is what this is about. This is about having a conversation, and so I want to hear. Let me come back. This is about having a community conversation. So if you got a question, ask the question. And I just appreciate Denise for dropping this comment. And I think what I feel Denise saying, and I don't know if you can read that or not, but she's saying, but first, they must take their knee off of our necks and back. And of course, she's making a metaphorical reference to George Floyd. And so I guess the only thing I would add or elaborate with regard to the point that I think she's making, that in order for us to rise and do the things that you just described, it's kind of like, it's one thing to get up. Ain't nobody mad, get up, right? But it kind of gets back to the idea of, you're telling me to get up, but you're not acknowledging that somebody got their knee on my neck at the same time. Let me give you an example. King said it like this. King said, and I guess y'all can't see me, so I'm doing all this talking, and y'all like, who's talking? King said it this way. He said it's really a hypocritical statement to tell us to pull ourselves up by our own bootstraps without acknowledging that many of us don't even have boots, right? So to say it on one hand is one thing, but not to acknowledge the reality is something else. You're telling me to, okay, let me give you an example. And this is all to Denise's point, but first they must, and I'm not saying first, second, third, okay, Alonzo, we're not trying to say do this first, do this second, do this third, because some could come back and argue the semantics of what I'm saying. And I'm like, don't go there. That's not what I'm saying. We're not trying to rank it. I get the point. But when she says first, take your knee off of my neck, what I think I hear her saying is, when you say get up, let's empower ourselves, let's do what we got to do. How do you do that without at some point acknowledging we have 2% of America's wealth, right? The wealth, black men are making 60 cents on the dollar, right? That a white man is making. We've got. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Just go. You get my point.
Now keep going. I don't know the numbers. It's 60% on the dollar, but I don't know the numbers. But I'll look into it. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. But you get my point. You get my point. That if the metaphor is the knee on the neck, then we got to look at the education system. We got to look at the entrepreneurship aspect. Our companies. Well, it used to be that African Americans started a company, and that company would not. Most of our companies would not survive past 3 years. Now I think we won't survive past 5 years. I don't something like that. But my point is, if the metaphor is the knee on the neck, at what point do we empower people to deal with the systemic racism and the systemic aftermath of redlining, GI Bills? You know, the impact of the Jim Crows, the impact of the dog whistles coming out the White House, you know, all those things. At what point do we deal with that in order for us to actually make some strides and some gains? And I'll ask this, in the climate that we're in right now, do you see this as a climate that is fertile for those types of seeds to be planted, sprout, and grow in the context of the season that we're in right now?
Okay, I like the way you put that at the end. I don't think the climate's good. I don't think we as a people are accountable yet. I don't think we know who we are as a people, and I don't think we are like dealing within our hearts. I think we're dealing within revenge, and vengeance is mine, said the Lord, right? So I think we're trying to gain revenge, and I don't think that's a good thing. Just me personally. Mm-hmm. So dealing with the knee and the neck metaphor and all this and all that, it's 2020. I understand what Martin Luther King said in the 60s. Yeah, their knees were still on our neck, but they've given us so much opportunity and so many things that the knee in our neck now is a mental and psychological break. It's like that's what's telling us the knee in our neck is our own mind. It's our own mentality. You can say the George Floyd thing happened. Yes, it did. And it was a very bad tragedy. And that shouldn't happen. But all we need to do in that situation is justice. Now, we understand and identify Jim Crow. We understand Willie Lynch. We understand slavery. We understand all these things. At what point are we going to get rid of the mental shackles and say, hey, again, I can call Pastor G. I can call, like, everything she basically said in one for me was more of, I still can't do it because they're holding me down. Well, how about if that's what you feel, then instead of watching and filming, I'm going to push that cop off of you. That's what black people need to do. If I feel like a white person has their knee on you, I'm going to push them off of you and say, come here with me. Let's figure out how to get this money. Let's figure out how to build each other, because I ain't got time to be dealing with anybody who I don't need to recognize oppression. I just said we need to acknowledge it, and we know it. But the thing about oppression is that we're falling to a Marxist idea of everything that we're doing, because Marxism is oppressor versus oppression. I mean, oppressor versus oppressed. Therefore, anybody could be the oppressor, because as soon as you get rid of the quote unquote white supremacy, you're going to come to me. You're going to say the black man is oppressing you, because then it's going to be a male privilege. Then it's going to be this. We can't just look at life like it's oppressed versus oppressor. That's me worrying about I don't care about any of that. I only care about you. So what I'm going to tell you, if somebody is quote unquote oppressing you, then it's my responsibility as a black man and as a person of the community to say, you know what? Don't deal with them and come with me. And I won't oppress you. Let me teach you how to do this. Let me teach you how to do that. Let me teach you how to get here. Let me teach you how to get your credit, your real estate, your how to financially secure yourself, spend your money better, be smarter about things. We can't do anything without an economic base. And if we don't have economic unity, then we won't have anything. And our dollar literally, like we just went last Tuesday and was like spending the black dollar. And everybody's like, on a Tuesday, we chopping all black. Why did we limit it to Tuesday? Why? I don't understand why we just limited it Tuesday. We should limit it. It shouldn't be limited at all. If I see a black person has a business, then you should support it. And then if that black person has a business, and instead of just saying, hey, you should support me, then give me a quality product. You understand what I'm saying? Because the problem is, if you're not getting a quality product, I'm going to get a quality product. So to me, the whole oppression and all that, I just feel like you want somebody to feel sorry for you. And when somebody tells you to get up by your bootstraps, they're looking at you exactly what you wanted. They're looking at you as an equal. I got up by my bootstraps. You should do the same exact thing. But now you don't want them to look at you as an equal. You want them to look at you as your special. And please help me, sir. Which in reality, it gives white people a white Jesus complex, a white savior complex. Okay, it's my responsibility to bring you up, black person, because I did you wrong, and I need you to acknowledge the fact that I brought you up. And we be like, oh, this person can go to the barbecue with us and all that. Man, miss me all that. At the end of the day, all we really need is to figure out how to come together. I recognize, again, I've done probably more research and reading into the past than anybody. I went back to Africa. I went back to the Moorish community. I went back to Egypt. I went back to Ethiopia, where the first Christian church was. I went back to where I know. I've been to Angola, where I've seen the dock where we sold ourselves to the next people. So I know that the fact that so I see all this, man. I'm saying, at what point do we say, let's just come together? I don't care what they give us. I don't care who speaks on our neck. The problem with the George Floyd thing is that we won. Nobody said, get off of him. Nobody took the chance to push him off of him. Nobody did any of that. And this is what we do now. We rock. And we don't fight. So the reality of it is, instead of saying we got to acknowledge the people like that, no, get off my people and come here. I got you. I love
Right.
you. So I don't need to be like, I don't need to acknowledge any of that. I know it exists. We should know that in history. We are in the information age, and all we want to do is be naked on Instagram. We don't want to live. Every day, I intake at least 6 hours of information about something on YouTube. Whether it's a Jordan Peterson lecture, because he did a Bible series, whether it's anything, it don't really matter. If it's information, I'm absorbing it. It's audio books. I'm listening to something because I'm driving with my job, and I'm literally listening and intaking information. While everybody else is swiping, at least 6 hours of my day is going to trying to learn something. So my question to you is, why are we doing this in the information age instead of figuring out how to get money? I want to talk about the successes. I want to talk about how Kanye became a billionaire. I want to talk about how Kobe left his wife $2.5 billion to assets. I want to talk about how LeBron fired his first agent and hired his friend. And that's black empowerment. And I'm not a LeBron James fan. I don't like him at all. But I respect what he did.
So to be clear, let me use your analogy. You're talking about Kobe, for instance. That's he's in sports. And how can we talk about Kobe? And this is just a question. How can we talk about Kobe having a career that he had, being able to amass the influence, the celebrity, and the wealth that he had, such that he could leave an inheritance for his family after he tragically passed away? How can we talk about that and at the same time not talk about the fact that Colin Kaepernick did a peaceful protest and now is not in a position, although he's an athlete, although could make the same amount of money, you cannot argue that there isn't a backroom discussion going on to actually keep him unemployed because he stood up in a country that says you got a right to stand up for something. I mean, how can you celebrate Kobe and then ignore Colin, if that makes sense?
I didn't ignore Colin.
I guess I'm not saying. Okay, so my vernacular is wrong. I don't mean that you're ignoring it, but what I'm saying is that I think that, again, in order to acknowledge what we're making, we have to also, I think, acknowledge not only what we're losing, but why. Why is it that Colin is no longer employed and no longer able to create the type of wealth that he too can leave to his family, right? Because what's going on there, for me, in my mind, is not by choice. So that's kind of where I am on that one. Help me out with that.
I disagree with he's not able to create that wealth because he got a settlement from the NFL to shut up, and he did it. He got a contract with Nike. And I think black people feel Colin Kaepernick, to be perfectly honest with you. When I look at Colin Kaepernick, when he did all that stuff, as far as taking the knee, he wasn't starting, he wasn't playing. We got to stop lying to ourselves about a lot of stuff. Is he talented enough to be in the NFL? Yes. But then was his risk and reward worth the behavior? No. So if you ask me, if Patrick Mahomes today decided to kneel for a protest, they're going to accept what Patrick Mahomes does, because you can't lose that type of player. So the reality of it is that his risk and reward is what kills him. I'm going to tell you why the black community failed. Let me
qualify that. Let's qualify that statement you just made, because the climate today is totally different than the climate when Colin started his peaceful protest. But let's clarify that real quick, because let's say again, to me it's both and. I have a hard time with the either or. To me, it's kind of both and, because I love celebrating those who make those who are able to create wealth and all that kind of. I love it, and I think that we should be able to, as a community, use those as models to help the next person, take their step up or do whatever it is they got to do. I'm all for that, but I'm also concerned about systems and individuals who use their power to oppress other people who when all things are equal, without that oppression, would be able to be on that same level, calling those things out for what they are, even from the perspective that if you mentioned the other quarterback, what's his name? I don't follow football that much, but Mahomes.
Probably the best player in football in the last 50 years. I've never seen nobody as good as him.
So Mahomes. So here's the real question. If what came out of the president's mouth when Colin did what Colin did, if that same thing came out of his mouth again, if Mahomes does because again, what's really happening there isn't really about Mahomes. It really isn't about Kaepernick. And let me tell you why. It's not because they don't have the power. The power is in the megaphone of the president who opened his mouth, said something, and shook the league. And then the league had to reckon with, well, the most powerful, now the person that we're afraid of, we ain't afraid of Mahomes. We're not afraid of Kaepernick. We're afraid of this guy in the White House. That's what shook the league, not. And this is the problem, that someone who is white can actually make a statement that should have nothing. You talking politics and entertainment. Why the heck are you making a statement about entertainment when you're supposed to be running the country and dealing with national defense? Why are you talking about football players, calling them SOBs, and shaking the league because you mad because they wouldn't allow you to buy a football team? See, that's where people who are in positions of power, who can open their mouth, rattle people's cages, and make stuff shift and happen that has nothing to do with them, right? This is where I think we need to be able to talk about the wealth of a Kobe and the oppressive nature of someone like a Trump who feels like I've got the power to say something to rattle. Again, I'm not saying that I'm against I don't want you to think that I'm against it. I just think it's a both and, not an either or. That's all I'm saying. I don't see how we can talk about one and not at the same time really shed light on the fact that someone is using their position and their power to actually make changes and influence something that really ain't none of their business. He had no business saying anything, and yet by making the statement and throwing politics in a situation that had nothing to do with politics, now we got somebody who's, however you want to look at it, he ain't showing up on Sundays throwing a football in a game. And that's sort of my bottom line.
So you think that Trump had a lot to do with Kaepernick not getting a job? Is that what you're insinuating?
Oh, most definitely. Right? You're talking about you're talking about a league, and I don't want to make this about sports. Let's keep it about celebrating Kobe and celebrating our people being able to rise up and do the things that they need to do, whether that is he goes into the gym at 4:00 in the morning shooting baskets and making himself great and going, it gets paid for that, God bless him. But at the same time, we cannot deny that there are other things happening in our society that people who are using their influence and their power to shake stuff up that literally that is none of their business, yet because they're in a position and they can do it, right? Who could have come in and spoke against what Trump said and rattled the NFL the way Trump did? Who could have said something? Who?
I mean, anybody.
Who? Oh my God, give me a name. Who?
Jay-Z. Here's what I'm saying. I want you to understand my position here. I think nobody is more influential on this planet than Black people. And I think they know that too. So when you're speaking on influence, Kanye could have easily said anything. His family alone got 700 million followers on Instagram. Just the Kardashians, 700 million. So
Kanye?
I'm saying he could have came in and said you're talking about influence. You said who can say something
influential. Okay.
Here's the thing.
All right.
We're not looking. Okay, I don't think we're looking at the Kaepernick thing as a whole. Again, I think Kaepernick got his first contract, right? He got 100 million the first time. He already eaten on that. He waited till he was at the bottom of his profession where he wasn't starting or anything to start doing this, which is fine. I was 100% with Kaepernick. I was kneeling. I wasn't standing up for the national anthem. I was with 100% of them. Again, I think black people failed him because it's so many black companies that we could have allowed for him to be our voice. But what we did is allow him to sign under the white company of Nike, and then his voice got silenced. He didn't say anything else no more. Then he signed the gag order from the NFL when he took that money. So now he can't speak on certain things in that situation. So as me personally, I feel like people like Kanye or Jay-Z or whoever, Oprah, anybody, Diddy, whoever has money, they should have funded Kaepernick, right? And then paid him for ads and stuff like that and allowed him to utilize his voice. We dropped the ball by that, by giving the voice to the highest bidder, which is the white people in Nike, and they gave them the money. Now let's look at the money in the NFL. The NFL went down 5% when Kaepernick was doing that, right? 5%, they thought it was catastrophic. Then you look at the NBA, who does everything we want them to do. Black Lives Matter, LGBT Pride Month, they do everything they want them to do. They're down 30%. It's a thing called get woke and go broke. And that's what's happening. So we can say that it affected the bottom line. If Kaepernick was a better player at the time, they would have fought for him. But he was a risky reward thing. If I bring this man on and he's making our money go down, then I can't, it's not worth the reward. It's not worth it. If Kaepernick had to take the fight to the Super Bowl, then it would be a reward. Like, oh, I take it. Like, my favorite player is Westbrook, right? And I watch Westbrook play all the time. And he's going to do good things. He's going to do the stupid things on the court. He's going to do some good things. But I think you take the stupid things because the good things outweigh the stupid things. We're not looking at it like that. We're not looking at it as a business. We're looking at it as a president or Donald Trump saying something. He didn't make any laws. He didn't tell the football organization that they couldn't hire him or anything like that. I don't agree with his brother. And what he said at that time, he should not have told those people that for being able to protest. Because at the end of the day, that is your constitutional right to protest. So you can't say that about him and then not say it about anybody else who's protesting going against this. It was never about the flag. It's about him feeling like black people will be in that territory.
We missed some. We missed some of what you were saying because it was kind of going in and out.
Now people keep calling me like I didn't tell them I was doing an interview. It started to make it's my parents too, so I can't get that mad. It's my mother and father. but
it's all good.
And decline it. But no, what I'm saying is that the risk wasn't worth the reward with Colin Kaepernick, and we're not seeing that. If he was able to take a team to the Super Bowl, you would take that risk. But if all he's gonna do is make me lose money just to show, like, to take a political stance, then I'm not taking that chance as a businessman. I'm not. I'm just not. I can't do it as a businessman. But I think the black community failed him. I think we should have been funding him. I think we have enough billionaires and millionaires with products and everything. We should have had billboards of him wearing all black stuff, all black owned stuff and stuff like that. And we should have kept his voice strong. Signing the gag order from the NFL, signing the Nike, now you got to do whatever. I haven't heard Kaepernick really make a powerful stance until this whole George Floyd thing, since he did the sacrifice everything, whatever campaign with Nike. So I see the way you're looking at it, but Kaepernick has an opportunity. He's made $100 million. He has an opportunity to take that $100 million, invest in Know Your Rights, to invest in whatever else. He has that money. So regardless, if that didn't happen to him, he still has a bag to invest in the black community. And when it looks like that, that's where I look at it like, well, we can say that was wrong. Okay, the way they did him was wrong, but it affected the bottom line. And when it affects the bottom line, it's all about money now. I don't think it was a race thing. I think it really affected. Mother would not stop.
Yeah, your mom is on top of this.
No, I'm ignoring it for a reason. Like, it's crazy, but I just think it all affected the bottom line. I don't think Kaepernick became a racist thing. I think it became a money thing because 80% of the NFL is black people. So I just think it became like, I don't want you to shut up because you're black. I want you to shut up because you're messing up the bag. And that's how I feel about it. But we look at everything as a racist thing. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of times it's really not. I just think at that point, they wanted him to shut up because he was messing up the money. And you never mess up the money. No matter what you do, never mess up the money. They will love you as long as you keep the money flowing. And he was messing up the money. But now he's good for money because the whole Black Lives Matter and all this movement and everything, I don't really know if it's good for money. Honestly, I think it's all a facade. I think Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and all that stuff, it's not real, because it's a silent majority that really don't like any of this stuff. So
yeah. Well, so, and again, and I'm just trying, I want to make sure that people are clear on the objectivity that I'm trying to take into this conversation. You know, I don't really feel, this is just, again, me personally, Brother Miles, and that is that I don't think that we can take our eyes off. Let me give you an example. I don't think we can take our eyes off of the racial ball so long as in Bloomington, white guys can feel like they got the power to take a black man, use racial slurs and all that kind of stuff, and start talking about lynching somebody, right? As long as this country is allowed, people in this country are allowed to feel like they are emboldened to do things like that and to say things. I could put up a picture right now of a handwritten note that was sent to, I think it was a TV station, I think it was, from somebody who basically was saying, you know, you're a black man, you in a position of power, I need to remind you that you are still a nigger. Okay, you are still a nigger. And so long as we live in a country, to me, so long as we still live in a country that people feel like they have a right to lie to us when we trying to get a car loan, move their banks out of our community, and have those same banks that move out of our community not make home loans and lines of credit and equity loans to the same people that they're trying to have put money in those same banks. As long as we have a system where we can put laws on the books that are discriminatory. I mean, we fought for, what did we fight for last year? I was down at the State House fighting for hate crimes legislation. I mean, we were one of the last three or four states in the country to have hate crime legislation against those who have immutable characteristics. That means characteristics that you just can't change. I mean, as long as we live in a society that feels like somebody ought to be able to hit you upside the head because you black and can't nobody do nothing about it, I just don't think we can take our eyes off of that ball. You can call it whining if you want. You can call it, I want to be a victim if you want. But at the same time, I got children growing up in this society, and I never want my son to be stopped because he's driving my Mercedes or my BMW in the wrong neighborhood, and somebody feel like, well, he shouldn't be driving that car. He's too young. What is he? He looks suspicious. As long as we live in a society like that, the trust between us who did not ask to be in this country, we did not ask for this. Us who were brought to this country, saddled with the burden of slavery, set back 200 years once we get to Jim Crow and all that other stuff, and then told that we could not have a financial stake in this country because we weren't able to amass wealth through what the GI Bill did up in Chicago and all that other kind of stuff, where they were able to buy homes and create generational wealth. I just don't think we can take our eyes off the ball, off of that ball. I'm not saying that we don't look at what you're saying, because I really do hear truth in what you're saying about what we need to do. But to juxtapose that truth with the avoidance of some of this other stuff that's going on in these boardrooms, where I'm trying to think of the name of the organ, ALEC, the group ALEC. You familiar with ALEC, right? Because you've done your research, so you're familiar with ALEC, right?
No, I don't. I'm not.
Okay.
So tell me what's going on with
ALEC. ALEC is a group. Do some research on ALEC. Somebody can put that in the chat box right now. Do some research on ALEC, because ALEC is a group of some of those, white multi-millionaires, billionaires, and they basically meet. They have a private meeting. Last time I checked, it was in Florida. Nobody brings in their cell phones. Nobody can communicate out. They come in and they talk about how they want to influence legislation. So much so that this group funds the writing of bills that they give to their state legislators. And those legislators many times don't even read the bills. They just take the bills from ALEC. They take them straight to the Congress and Senate and push that stuff through. Right?
Yeah.
And so this is what we're up against. And we're saying, man, we got 2% of America's wealth, and so we should put money towards Colin Kaepernick, where at the same time, we need enough wealth to put towards organizations that write legislation to push back against what these people over here in Attica do. Again, we can't take our eyes off of what these folk who feel like they got a right, more of a right to have. Somebody said that they've met in Indianapolis as well. They feel like they got more of a right to put a black person in prison or in jail, their own son and or daughter who's done the same, if not worse. They feel like they have a right to be free, whereas our people have more of a right to be in bondage because they have criminalized the color of our skin. And I just don't see how we can take our eyes off of those balls. That's all I'm saying. Am I missing it to you?
Yeah, well, no, you're not missing it at all. But I think I acknowledged that. I said, know your history so you won't be doomed to repeat it. And I know that's going on. So with everything you said, are you acknowledging the flip side of where white people are actually doing these things? Or where people are actually trying to help us? Are they putting laws and legislations and everything in place so that we can get things? Are we acknowledging that side? It seems like we only want to acknowledge that side of everything that's going wrong, but we never acknowledge the side that's going right. And I think that's a problem. So I agree 100% with you, what you saying. We should acknowledge that, but we also should acknowledge when things are going well. We should acknowledge when people are doing the right thing. We should acknowledge that people are trying to help, and it is laws and legislations and everything in place that we can actually come up with. It's grants and everything that you can apply for. That's minority grants. It's everything. We're not acknowledging that because we're not even trying to look in that direction. We're not even trying to look in the direction that the government might be doing things to help us. And it's actually things out there to help us actually succeed. So I see everything you're saying, but I'm not saying, oh, don't take your eye off of it. I'm saying integrate both. You said it at the beginning of the whole thing. Integrate both. I see that. I also see this. So now let's integrate both. These people are this way, but these people are trying to help. And then think about this. I don't think all these allies of Black Lives Matter are allies. If you tell them that they can't get something out of this, I guarantee they'll drop off. Because you're talking about the hate crime bill, it's a slippery slope because I don't know what a hate crime is anymore. Because they say a hate crime is a racist thing, but now a hate crime, what they call violence, is misgendering somebody. So they just open it up to everything to where anything looks like a hate crime. So sometimes we got to take our emotions out of things and look at the bill or look at everything like as full circle. And I think we don't do that enough. And that's what I know I personally did when Trump got in office. I said, let me pay attention to what the Republicans are talking about. Let me pay attention to what the other side is talking about. And I took all the good things that they were saying and implemented into my own thinking. And I took all the good things coming from Democrats and implemented into my own thinking. So I think I totally understand that things are racist in this country. But as you said, your son is driving in a BMW. That is yours. Your son is driving in a Mercedes. That is yours. How did you get that, Pastor G? How did you accrue that?
Oh, let me be clear. I don't have a Mercedes or a BMW. I drive a Mazda. Let me be real.
Okay. Well, my point.
But you get my point.
Back today with, because we had this conversation before. We've spoken before, and you told me how you worked back in the day with music and stuff like that. You've always been a driven man, and it's an algorithm to being successful in America. It's literally just being driven and working hard. Now everybody be like, man, everybody work hard. Well, not really, because you keep applying this algorithm to whatever God has for you, and once that hits, you will take off. And I just think hard work is not being taught no more.
I get you.
And being relentless about your goals to get to your goals is not being taught no more. And being driven is not being taught anymore. The only thing that's being taught is that I should feel sorry for you because your history and culture had a hard time. I don't want you to feel sorry for me. I feel like because they made all these hurdles and blocks and everything in our life, I feel honored.
Yeah.
Because
we survived.
I remember the Bible saying God never puts more on than you can bear. All right. And apparently he thinks we can bear it. And apparently he thinks we're strong enough to handle it. And these things only happen to the strongest. Only the strongest survive. So for me, if God places me through these things, then I figure out a way to get out of. And the harder things you get through, the stronger you become on the other side. I'm a big fan of Dragon Ball Z. Every time Goku lost, he got stronger. You know, like, to me, it's just like, sometimes you got to fight. And I'm not mad about God seeing the diamond in me. I'm not mad about them seeing the diamond in me and being afraid of the diamond in me. And instead of just putting me to the heat and let me be energy like a normal piece of coal. So I'm not mad about my plight in life. I appreciate it. I accept it. I take everything that God puts on me, and I love it, because I'm an athlete and I play basketball like you did music. And if I walked on the court and people didn't like have a game plan for me, or they wasn't trying to figure out how they was gonna stop, I felt disrespected because I'm a killer. So at the end of the day, you should look at me and be threatened because I'm great. And look at this greatness and look at everything God made me to be. And you should be offended and you should be scared. And you know what? No matter what you do, I'm still going to be great. And that's what I'm teaching people now. I'm going to teach the history. Of course, you got to know that. But all the history tells me is, why would I trust them now?
Right. Right.
Like, why would I do that? Like, now, oh, you're going to give me this? No, you're not. You're going to placate me. You're going to write Black Lives Matter in front of Trump towers. You're going to give me a street. You're going to say you're paying attention. You're going to take Aunt your mama off the syrup. I don't care about none of that. That's not what we asked for. You know what I'm saying? Are you going to give gay people rights? Or are you going to give feminist rights? You're never going to give black. I just seen, bro, Jesus Christ, I just seen Oklahoma gave half of their state to the Native Americans like they already don't have land. Right. All we've been asking for is 40 acres and a mule. Black Lives Matter is going global, and you give half of a state to Native Americans. You skip right over us, and we keep allowing it. So to me, I ain't with it. No, I'm not going. At the end of the day, y'all can say I'm an Uncle Tom or what, and I'm not saying you saying that. This is what coming from the other side. Y'all can say all that, and I'm cool with all that, but I care enough to tell you the truth, and I care enough to tell you that the same government that told you they was giving you vaccines for something else gave us syphilis, the same government that was holding us down, the same government that gave us welfare to break up the family, the same government that gave us all this, now y'all want to trust them and beg for something? Nah, bro. Let them have what they have. I don't care about racism. I don't care about any of that. Let me figure out how to use capitalism so I can build my people up. And that's the only thing that matters to me. So I understand everybody else is like, oh, blah, blah, blah. I just don't trust it. I don't. Why would I trust it now? I keep telling people black lives have never mattered to them. So why are you trying to make them matter? Black influence matters. They don't do anything unless we become a part of it. They needed us with the gay community. They needed us with the women's movement. They needed us with anything. They need us because we are the cool. We are the people that influence anything. If y'all want to learn anything from the Kardashians, is don't let nobody profit off your influence but you. If Kylie tweets, she gets $400,000. If you see her say, Kylie, can you tweet this? It's $400,000. We are the most influential people in the country. Black influence matters. So if we're the most influential people in the country, why are we not getting paid off our influence? That's my question. Every time LeBron speaks, it shouldn't be for free. Every time Jay-Z or Kanye speaks, it shouldn't be for free. Pay me, because I'm influential. And if I'm speaking on something,
but at the same time, when you say pay me and you acknowledge that you got to also pay attention to where that money's coming from, because if somebody pays you, then they also control your message.
Yes, that's what Nike's doing to LeBron.
And when you say that, then you also have to acknowledge unintended consequences. You got to acknowledge agendas. You got to acknowledge politics. You got to acknowledge, because there are some people that will say, oh yeah, I'm going to tell you how we're going to control them. We just going to pay them. We're going to hire them. We're going to give them positions. We're going to give them titles. That's what they need. They need money. They only got 2% of America's wealth, right? They need money. So let's control the whole agenda by buying them. So is that really the way we should operate?
So let me say this. Michael Jordan, everybody was mad that he didn't fight for Democrats or whatever, right? Michael Jordan, he's not a good person. Michael Jordan did whatever they told him to do and kept his mouth shut. But now he's a billionaire. So Michael Jordan can say, I'm not gonna say it, but hey, Pastor G might say it. Pastor G, you need 50 million to do this? Here we go. Sometimes some of us have to sacrifice ourselves for everybody else. And when we do that, then we have the money. What matters is the money. And when we got the money, I can fund the people who are fearless. I can fund the people who will say the right thing. And also, we can say everything you want to say, but I think the church has dropped the ball on that too. Because at the end of the day, it was a separation of church and state. I feel like the churches should have been built. Some did build communities. I'm not going to say that they all dropped the ball, but I felt like we could have came together with that money and did whatever we wanted to do with it.
I agree.
Because nobody's putting that money but us. We're putting that into that. Our 10% is going into that church. So the only people controlling that money is the people. So that's a democracy that actually could have worked for the community. So to me, some people might have to shut up or be the people who, like Michael Jordan. Sometimes some people have to be that person, and then we have to fund each other. You know, like people might not be able to say things. I mean, like, and because they're not able to say it, but they can fund it on the low, they might have to know where that money's coming from. You know what I'm saying? So,
I get you.
I get what you're saying. The money controls the mouth. So I think, like, a lot of times when I think LeBron James and all them and Serena and all them are speaking, I think it's Nike. But when they get that $100 million, they don't control what you spend it on. So if I get $100 million and I know I got to shut up for the man, but I see Pastor G who's willing to say whatever, and he has on the movement.
Yeah, your camera just went out a little bit, so that's all.
It's my mother has called me 7 or 8 times, and I told her I was gonna be on the interview. Like, and again, it's my parents, so I don't want to be mad, but she has to know. It's not like I'm hurt.
Well, maybe maybe your mama needs something. No, that's probably what we need to deal with.
She gotta wait. It just is what it is. But what I'm saying is, man, sometimes we gotta sacrifice, and that's what our ancestors did for us. Martin Luther King them sacrificed getting the life beat out of them so we can have these opportunities. Are we gonna take advantage of these opportunities? Are we gonna flounder them because of what happened to Martin Luther King? We can be mad, but he did that. They died for us to have what we have now. So the next generation, which was Jordan, they took everything they had to take to get millions and millions and millions of dollars so LeBron and them could get easy money. So now that they get easy money, they signed a $250 million contract for 5 years. I think Mahomes just signed something ridiculous like that. Now we got the easy money. Now let's start a STEM program like Nipsey, you know. Let's start a STEM program. Let's get our black kids into the science, technology, engineering, and math. You know what I'm saying? Let's start programs to where we start creating entrepreneurs, financial literacy, real estate, credit building. Like, we keep complaining about education and all that. Why? When we can do it ourselves. I told you, I don't know if I told you, but I had a plan. Take 20 influential black people. 20. All it takes is 20. 20 influential black people. Tell them to commit to giving $25 million apiece to the 10 schools in the MEAC. The MEAC is FAMU, North Carolina A&T, Howard, all those schools. They all Division I. Send our best athletes there, put money into the colleges, get that $1 billion TV deal because everybody's watching the MEAC now. Now we in our own education, we can trickle down to the high schools. And then you got LeBron James who's with Nike and all this white guilt that's going on. Have Nike bring and build all new stadiums for all 10 of them. Have Adidas build with Kanye. Adidas put a stadium over here. Then they gonna feel like, oh, I gotta do it. So here comes Steph Curry with Under Armour. Have them build a stadium here. So now we putting our universities, our colleges up, let that trickle down to the high school. Now we have our own high school. Let that trickle down to elementaries. Now we have our own elementaries. Now we control education. It's an infrastructure sitting right there waiting for us. We got the capital to do it, and we're not thinking logically. So, everybody like, man, they should start their own league. Why? The money's in college. The money's in universities. You can't get rid of that with bankruptcy. Use that infrastructure. That's where the real money's at. Use that infrastructure that's right there, ready and primed for us to take over it and invest in our community. You change the education, you change the mentality. Now you tell me Imani Bates ain't gonna go to Howard next year. Or you tell me Imani Bates, because at the end of the day, I remember Jordan, he actually sponsored North Carolina A&T. When I went to A&T, our sponsors was Jordan. We had Jumpmans on with our name on them. That's all kids want. So if we invest in our own community, there's an infrastructure right there waiting for us to take. And all we need is 20 influential black or affluent black people. Oprah, Jordan, Kobe, or that's Vanessa and them, Steph, LeBron, Jay-Z, Beyonce, put that 25 million into the HBCUs a piece, and then convince Nike, Adidas, Under Armour, all these to build, put new stadiums and everything in there. That, number one, when you do that, this is like when we built Lucas in Indianapolis, it upped our community, our economy around us, because it creates more jobs. You do that, it creates more jobs. You got janitors, you got teachers, it creates more jobs in that community. So now you got this nice thing. So now concerts will come here, more events will come to this city, more everything. So now you're building an economic growth within a Black community. That's all it takes. We have an infrastructure prime right there to take, and we're not taking it because we're worried about police or brutality, or we're worried about everything else. All right, cool. Y'all gonna do all that? All right, cool. We're going to acknowledge it. We're going to fight. We want those police to go to jail. Leave it alone. Let's go to the HBCU. Let's go to the MEAC. Take those 10 schools in the MEAC and make them Duke, Kentucky. We send the kids to Kentucky, bro. Rupp is a known racist. They're playing in Rupp Arena. That is crazy to me when you can send those kids to those 10 schools. It's crazy. We don't take infrastructure. We don't look at things and we just complain. Ain't nothing fair. Stuff can be fair, bro. Who cares? It doesn't have to be fair. 20 people. It takes 20 people to change our generation.
Man, there's so many things I want to hit on that one. But I can't. I got another guest sitting in the wings. It's 12 o'clock and she's sitting here going, are you gonna call me? You gonna let me in? Great points though. I mean, great points. And like I said, we've had some people, and I hope you get a chance to go back and watch this, because we've had some comments that have come in. If I know you can't read these, but we've had some comments that have come in where people are saying, we agree with this, we may not agree with that, we may agree with that, we may not agree with this. But the reality is, I think at the end of the day, your point is well taken. And that is that we need to look at ourselves and determine, what we need to do to make sure that as a community, we are lifting ourselves up as much, if not more, than we are worried about what other people are doing to hold us down. That's what it sounds like you're saying to me. Am I missing?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree. I appreciate it, Pastor G. It's a really good conversation. Shout out to Faith for calling me anytime. And my podcast starts Monday. I think I'm interviewing Terrence Hood. So I really appreciate it, man.
Man, make sure you include us. Include us so we know what's going on, so we can watch, man.
Okay, but for sure, every time I met you, I'm gonna just speak on you. Every time I met you, you always been very, very polite and worthy of giving information. Like if I asked you anything, you would give it to me. And that's a problem with, I think Kanye said that black on black lies is worse than black on black crime. The Jews share with each other how they make a dime. You've always been open to, like, if I ask anything, you've always been the person who's giving information. And I think that makes you a great person. So I appreciate you, man.
Anything we can do for you, brother.
You called me 19 times.
Tell your mama we said hi when you finally talk to her, because she's trying to get to you, bro.
All right, man. Thanks a lot, man.
Man, bless you. All right, y'all. I'm about to get to my next guest. She's in the wings. I'm going to take a little break. So y'all listen to the music, stick and stay close. I'll be right back in just a minute. All right, peace. The ultimate goal of the Urban Servant Leadership Unconference, we want to be able to bring together as many pieces of the puzzle as we can so that ultimately we put together a picture that helps us see and to understand what a valuable, sustainable community needs to look like.
I'm here because my personal life mission is to help others help themselves. It's the epitome of what servant leadership is all about.
So I wanted to come to the Unconference today so that I could discuss the Healthy Indiana Plan, which is a healthcare plan that's available to folks between the ages of 19 and 64 who have incomes at less than 138% of the federal poverty level.
My name is Anita Adams. I work with Indianapolis Healthy Star. We know that there are inequalities that are happening in our community, and we work to reduce those for families.
You have to be called to be a servant leader because you know that you are going to give and you may not get anything in return, and that's okay. An urban servant leader is called to do what we do.
You should really research it. If you were not here, I urge you, I cannot say this enough, that you need to come to the next conference.
All right, what's up, everybody? Pastor G. We are live again. I'm turning the mics down. Got to keep the music going. I've reintroduced myself to many of y'all who think I've been a pastor all my life. No, I've been in the music industry portion of my life, and I love music. So we got some music in the background. So I hope y'all enjoy it. Nevertheless, y'all are still watching Community Conversation. This is a marathon today. My God, we have been on live, high energy, talking about it. Y'all have learned, man, how to get it done, how to multitask. You have learned all kind of stuff today. We've even had some competing conversations online with some folk who are some for, some against Black Lives Matter, that whole piece. And so now, on the screen, y'all see it's 12 o'clock, 12:12, and we've got Miss Lana Reed in the house. She's all the way from Los Angeles, California. We're gonna get her on screen here in just a second. But for right now, I just want to remind everybody, if you have not pre-registered for the Urban Servant Leadership Unconference, if you have not pre-registered, jump on over to uniteforchange.org. It should be right here at the bottom of the screen somewhere. Jump over to uniteforchange.org. Go ahead and pre-register for the Urban Servant Leadership Unconference. It is August the 15th. It is virtual. We'll be having speakers coming in from all over the country, as well as those right here in Indianapolis, where we are talking about our way forward. How we gonna navigate this new normal, y'all? Things are not gonna go back the way they were. I know you loved it pre-COVID. I know you love your life pre-COVID, but your life ain't gonna be the same after this is all over with, if it ever really is over. All right. So we're gonna be talking about that. What do we do after the marches? What do we do after the protests? What do we do now? What do we do next at the conference? And so make sure you pre-register for that. Now, if you are watching this right now, I encourage you to hit that share link, share, because right now, about to be in the studio, all the way from Los Angeles, California. Here she is. Uh-oh, we got to get her on. She's not on. Oh no, we got to get her back. Oh no, we got to get her back. She's not on. Let me get her back. All the way from Los Angeles, California, we have Lana Reed. We can't see her just yet, so she's waving at us. So give me a minute to get her back on. This is technology, and technology does what technology wants to do. So we got to get her back on. Let me see. I got to figure it out. Oh, I tell you what, we've been on so long that I'm gonna go ahead and pull this stream, and we're gonna start a new stream, Lana. We're gonna start a new stream because we gotta get you back on. All right, so Pastor G will be right back in just a minute, and I'll be back on all our platforms. So make sure you get back on Periscope, back on YouTube, and back on Facebook. I'll be right back.